Hi there, this is Art and Such with my Rainbow Loom tutorial for the Wasp, and she goes with my recently uploaded Ant-Man. For this pattern you're going to need some black, yellow or gold, yellow bands or beads, or gold bands or beads for the eyes. I'm going to be using some small yellow pony beads. You'll need your hook and your loom in the offset configuration, and a C-clip. Just a couple of choices you'll need to make before we start. You can leave the black wings on, and I'll show you how to make those, or you can omit them. You can also make those in a different color if you'd prefer to have a clear or a silver. If you want to use this technique to add on the little antennae, you can do that as well. And I think this time around, instead of having the upper body all yellow, I'll be adding a little black on the side. So that just kind of depends on which version or variation of her design, like which version of the Wasp you want to make. Without further ado, let's start on the feet, which will look a lot like Ant-Man's. We're going to have a single black and wrap it 1, 2, 3 times onto the hook. Pull that onto 2 black bands. Sliding that to the middle, and then we'll replace. Take a single black and wrap it on the hook 1, 2, 3 times, and then we want that to sit in the middle of our first section, so I'll pull the outer side over and slide all of that onto 2 more black bands. And from here, we're going to put one more piece in the middle. So single wrap 1, 2, 3. If your band's a little bit loose, you can give it an extra wrap. And we'll bring the first piece over so that it sits in the middle. And this is going to go onto a doubled over single black. So what that looks like is, let's get a band that's a little stretched out here. Pull it open, twist it into an X, bring it back on top of itself, and put it onto the end of the hook, slide through. So this is 1 foot. We'll go a little bit faster when we make the foot for the other leg. Now from here, we are going to have 2 yellow bands together. Put them on the end of the hook, slide through, and repeat 2 more times, so that we will have started a chain of 3 sets of double yellow. And 3. We're going to switch to black for the next 2 sets of 2. So here are 2 black bands together, slide them through and repeat. Now I also made her legs a little bit longer than Ant-Man's and her torso a little bit shorter. So that's something you can play around with if you want to set the proportions differently. And then I've got 4 sets of 3 yellow bands. And if that feels like too much, you can leave it at 3 sets of 3, or you can have 3 sets of 2 bands each instead of 4 sets of 3 bands each instead of 3 of 3. I'm just trying to give you lots of choices here because some things will make it easier, some things will give you a different effect, and just so you know, there is room to play around a little. And I'd love to see if you do something differently. Please feel free to send me a picture on Instagram. I love seeing your finished Loom products as well. That was 3 sets, and we need 1 more set of 3 bands to make 4. And one set of double black bands. So take 2 together, put them on the end. And we're going to repeat this for the other leg. I'll go, as I said, just a little bit faster this time because you've seen it once now, and you can always go back for a slower go over. We've got our single black, wrap 3 times, hold on to 2, bring that to the middle, wrap a single band on the end, 1, 2, 3, pull that inside the first set, bring that onto 2 black bands. I really gotta trim my nails, they're getting in the way of everything. I go to type something on my phone and I spend all my time, like the whole text message I'll be, or note I'll be going back to retype things, keep hitting the wrong keys. So that was our second middle piece, and then double over a single, slide it through onto 3 sets of 2 yellow, double yellow, and 2 sets of double black, and 4 sets of groups of 3 yellows, of triple yellows. 1, 2, let's make sure that all goes through there, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3 pieces, and then we had 1 set of double black. And we're going to put these all together onto 2 black bands. Put them at the end of the hook and slide both of your legs on. And you can leave these where they are or put them on a holding hook if you feel that they'll be in your way. For the arms, we're going to take 2 black bands, wrap them together on the hook 3 times. Pull that onto 2 black bands. Doesn't want to go there. Now we're sliding. And we will have 3 sets of double yellow. This is 1, 2, and 3. And 2 sets of double black. And 3 groups of 2 yellows, 3 times 2. So there's 1 set, 2 sets, and 3. And there, your one arm is complete. We can start the other one. It's the same deal. 2 black bands wrapped. 1, 2, 3. Hold on to 2, switch to yellow, 1 set, 2 sets, and 3 sets of 2, black, black, and yellow, yellow, yellow. Okay, so we've got our arms and our legs, and just so that I don't forget this later, we're going to make our antennae now. Antennae, now 2. Single wrap 1, 2, 3. And that's going to go onto a doubled over single, onto a second doubled over single. Makes me a little sad to stretch out my bands here, but sometimes it is necessary. one more doubled over single. We're going to do this one more time for the other antenna. Just pull out the bands that I want here. Okay, we'll take our single, wrap it 1, 2, 3, 4 times, as many as you need to get it nice and tight. You don't want it to have big loose loops. Then onto a doubled over single, a second doubled over single, and onto a third doubled over single. And then we'll be ready to go to the loom. Okay, you can put your hook right on the side. And we're going to start at the top. Let me pull out my pattern here. Okay, double black bands, top center to the top right, and again from the top center to the top left. Now another thing is you may wish to bring your black bands lower in the middle. That's another thing you can do. I'm going to keep it the same for myself this time. Each row we're going to come down with, on each row we'll come down with double black bands, just one set. And in the middle we've got a second set of double black. Now at this point, if you wanted there to be more black, you could go down once more in the middle, or you could have the next side set in black as well. I'm going to switch to yellow and come down in the middle row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times with double yellow bands, starting at that third peg down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And underneath that we will have one set of double black, or just double black bands. And this should take you to your 9th peg down in the middle. Now on the side, the next set, I've chosen to make the bosom area a little bit thicker here. So I'm using 8 bands between the second and third pegs on either side. If that feels like too much, you can leave it at 2 or 5 or 3 or 6, whatever you're comfortable with. If you're trying to save bands, you might want to do that as well. That's 5 so far. 6, 7, and 8. You can put them on all at the same time, or you can layer them on as I'm doing here right now. And like I said, that will just thicken up the upper body. So you can see she's got a little more roundness at the side, whereas our Ant-Man's a little bit thicker, like broader chested, but it's still somewhat flat. This will give you just I don't know how well you can see it in on the camera there, but a little bit of an extra curve. Totally optional. I think it looks good though. It's 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we're going to go back to double yellows and come down either side 4 more times from that third peg, with just 2 yellows together for each. We don't have any side extensions for this figure, fortunately. Going to be just a little bit easier than Ant-Man in that aspect. Okay, and double black bands on either side from that. I believe that's the 8th peg 7th peg to the 8th peg. Okay, so we can put our antennae, oh actually, I meant to do that first. Take the 2 bands that are sitting on top of the top side band, pull them off. And you're going to slide your antenna onto the band that's on the side top peg and replace. I meant to do that first, keep forgetting. Then you can put those black bands back on top. We'll do the same on the other side. You can use your hook or your finger, whichever is easier. So I'm going to pop that off the top for just a minute. Take that off to transfer my antenna and then replace it. If it's easier for you, you can put it onto, like put the antenna directly onto that top side peg. I don't know where that will come out though at the end. I think that would end up a little too close to the head if you stick it right on top. The arms though, those can go onto the top side pegs. So there's one arm and second arm. Make sure everything's on. I thought that would happen. Try to get all of those bands through nicely. And the double black bands that are holding the legs, you're gonna put one side onto your 8th peg down on the side and repeat for the opposite side. Just stretch it across onto those last pegs that you used. Separate the legs a little bit. And we've got holding bands, so the bottommost black band is going to be a doubled over single, and it will go across, I'll just count this for you here. This is your 7th peg down on either side and your 8th peg down in the middle. It'll form an upside down triangle there. And we're going to have a single yellow band across your 2nd pegs down, form a triangle, and a doubled over single across your 3rd pegs down. So the next one is going to be doubled over, and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a single across the 4th, a single across the 5th, and a doubled over single across the 6th. And we do this to cinch in the waist a little bit and to emphasize the parts that we want to be wider. Now the band that's going across your 6th pegs, we're going to pull the bottom of that under the center 7th peg as well. I believe that's what I did here. One last look at my picture before we loop up. Yeah. Okay, so we are ready to get our body together here. I'm going to start on the side, and we're going to be looping up the bottommost bands that are coming from the pegs above. So open part of your hook pointed up and away, push back the bands holding the legs, grab your bottom 2 bands and bring those around and over onto the next peg. Push back your triangle bands, grab your 2 yellows, bring them forward, and we'll repeat that till we get to the 3rd peg from the top. Now when you get to the peg here that has the 8 bands on it, there are 2 ways you can do it. One way is you can push back that holding band, which is a little bit tight here, and take a couple of bands, bring them forward, go back under, get the rest or the next bands and bring them forward. Or if you're feeling confident, you can take them all in one shot and bring them over. So pause the video if you need an extra minute for that, and then we'll go in for the last 2 black, bring them up. And very carefully find the band that has your antenna on it. You can use your fingers or your hook if you need to pull it out more. Push back the arm bands and get those 2 and bring them to the top center. We're going to do all of this on the other side. I'm going to move a little bit faster, so if you need to pause the video, you can do that. Just make sure you're getting all the pieces. If you find it's more comfortable to turn your loom to a different angle, you can always do that as well. This is kind of awkward. I'm reaching, I've got my camera propped up on some things it's standing on. I'm reaching over and around it to try and get here. So this time I'm going to grab all of my pieces, very carefully bring them over, and the last two, and then into the middle. And back to the bottom center. Grab the part, the bands below the legs that's on your 9th peg up, and bring those forward and over. Get loose there. Bring that over again. And we're going to loop straight up to the top now and just stay inside those holding bands, so push back everything but the bottom two. That's all you need to get are the 2 bands on the bottom. If you find your loom is getting a little bit tight, you can pull off some of the lower sections that have been looped in and are secure. Piece of advice I always like to use, because I know when you use your loom a lot, or if you've got a particular, like sometimes some of the looms are a little bit weaker, it can be helpful. You hold on to the bands in the top center peg, and you can loosen up some of the rest. Just don't lose those top ones there. And in just a minute, we're going to do what we did with our Ant-Man, and we'll be releasing the whole body and preparing to add it to the face that we're going to make. So I'm going to loosen up everything up to the top 3, like the top row here. Now with the hook pointed open part away, very carefully push your hook through the top center peg, and make sure that you get all of those pieces in the right order. We've got one more kind of section to do here, and then we'll connect this and we'll go from there. We're almost done. We're going back to black. Oh, you know what? I completely forgot to put some extra black on the side. So maybe that's something that you did try or want to try in a future creation of the Wasp, but that's okay. I like it with the yellow as well. Again, it depends which version you're going for. Double blacks, top center to the top sides, and 3 times down on either side. This is a lot like Ant-Man's silver face. If you want to have some of the Wasp's face showing, you can switch to skin tone towards the bottom. So you might have that 3rd peg in skin tone, for instance. Double black in the middle. Let's just keep going down the sides here. In the middle, we're going to come down with 5 sets of double black, unless you're going to have some skin in the lower section. As I said, that is a choice you can make. Then we're going to take double bands from the 4th side to the 6th center, and that just elongates the face a little bit. Repeat for the other side. Let's put on our eyes. Again, I'm going to be using a couple of yellow beads. If you want, you can use yellow bands and wrap each 3 times and then transfer the same way, or you can use, if you've got smaller beads, then those can be threaded on using a piece of floss or a needle and thread or a wire. There are lots of tutorials, including on my channel, on how to do that. So I've put my beads on, I put my black band on the end, and I'm going to just slide them over and transfer to my 2nd pegs from the top, separate and bring 1 piece up. Okay, and then we've got, I think our other bands are going to be doubled over singles, so take a black, stretch, twist, double it over, bring it across the 3rd pegs down, triangle formation. And we are going to be attaching the body to the chin here on the 6th peg down. Now there are a lot of bands here, so if you have any concerns about losing bands on the way or them slipping out, one thing you can do is take another hook and slide it through all of those bands. Make sure you get through all of them. I'm using a second hook because I don't want to lose any in this process either. Put a brightly colored other colored band on and slide it back through all. Now you don't have to do this, but it's not a bad idea because you don't want to lose any of these bands. And then you can put the other side on, so it's just gone through, and pull one side over the other to create a slip knot. I'm going to put this onto a C-clip and just leave that loose there. Now if you find this makes it harder for you, of course you can take it off, but it's just a suggestion because we're going to be transferring the black bands on the hook onto that 6th peg. You want to kind of carefully layer and push down the bands you have there already. Oh, this is always the hardest part. Now I'm also going to point my face down is going to be the side that has the antennae sticking up. So that's going to face away from me when we're looking at the loom here. And I think I'm actually going to take off the pink because for myself I think it's going to be more in the way. But I did want to show you that as an option. I'm going to transfer these a couple of bands at a time and make sure that you hold them down. Push them down as they're going through. Just believe me, you don't want this to pop up. Make sure that they all go on all the way. I'm even going to keep my finger right on top of that peg because I don't want to lose any of these. Press that body out of the way a little bit, and we're going to be reaching through the neck bands, the body bands, to get to the top right bands coming from that 4th peg down. This is where it gets tricky because we're working with a lot of bands that are the same. So what I've done is I'm pushing my hook through the bands, still with the finger on top, that we've just added, and I'm going to kind of reach around till I can grab the 2 diagonals there and curve the hook around that peg until I've got them. Keep holding the bands on that peg in place, and we will bring the piece we looped up back over to that 4th peg down on the side, and you can loop up to the top on that side. Now this is why ideally one would make the body and the head together, but sometimes there just aren't enough pegs to comfortably do both at once. I'm going to push back the band that has the eyes on it, get those bottom 2, and then loop into the middle. And we're going to do this, go back and do this again for the other side. So now we're going to go for the diagonals that are coming from the side closest to us. And you can see I'm using my finger to pull it into the side. I'm going to put a little pressure to keep the center peg bands down. Reach in, curve the hook to the side, and grab those 2. And reach that back up. Do this very carefully. Take your time if you need to, because this is the part where things can come apart, and that would be a real shame. I'm going to loop up to the top on that side and into the middle, and it should be reasonably easy for you to get the last part now, I hope. We're going to go back through and find the bottom 2. See, it still wants to pop up. Let me pull these out to the side a little bit. Push the hook through, and I'm going to kind of angle it out to the side so I can grab those and come back forward, up. Make sure you get them both. Push back your holding band, loop up, and from here it's just 3 more loops. 2 and 3. Oh, your arm's a little stretched there. take a single black band, get it at the ready. You can loosen a little bit of this up if you like, but keep a good hold on the top center peg. I feel my loom's getting pulled here quite a bit. Okay. So you're going to put your hook through all of the bands on the top center peg. You can do this most easily if you point the open part of the hook away from you. Put that single black on the end and slide it through. As you do, you want to be turning your hook so that the open part is facing up. Put the other side on and pull the further side over the top of the hook. Get a good hold on that or put it on a C-clip, and we're going to take the rest of this off of the loom carefully. Then we just have a little bit of adjusting to do. Okay, so that came out pretty nicely. So this is my front side. You can see this is the back. You can tell because the wings are kind of pointed out funnily. So this is my front. I'm going to turn to the back, put my hook under a couple of bands near the eyes, grab that securing band and slide it under, and that can go onto a C-clip. You know, I can't decide if I like this one or the first one that I did better. I think the head came out, the shape of the head is just a tiny bit more even this time around. Sometimes you can do the very same thing, but it looks just a little bit different in the end. I think that has to do with just how stretched out your bands were. These nails are getting in the way of everything, but I love them, so I'm keeping them. Sometimes just how stretched out your bands are, or I don't know what other factors would affect that, but sometimes it does look or feel just a little bit tighter or a little more even or a little less even. Press your eyes to the front and center if they're not there already. And if you have done the kind of wings that I did, then I would suggest if you look, kind of angle it to the top of the shoulders, you'll see there are 4 little loops of yellow there. Go under the first 2 from the front. Actually, you can go under all of them. I'm going to just go over under the back too, I'm thinking. So that's what I did before, and pull them over the wing. If you wanted to sit more forward, then you could go through all of the yellow and pull all the yellow over. So then it would be more like that. I kind of want it to sit in between my yellow bands. I'll do that for the other side. So go through the 2 back loops of that yellow and pull it over the black. You can stretch the legs out. If you've got any loose bands, you can kind of tug to adjust or use your hook and a C-clip to secure them in a little bit better. And let me lay this out for you to see. I'll put next to my Ant-Man. And I'll get them both on my list of Marvel tutorials. Okay, I might not be making videos for the next little bit, but I'll get back to this as soon as I can. And I thank you for watching. Be sure to check out some of my other characters.